never thought I'd be the one to unravel my own family, thread by thread, like pulling at a loose seam on an old sail. But that's how it started, with a single loose end that led me down a path of secrets, lies, and a revenge so cold it still chills me when I think about it. My name is Ava Mercer, and this is the story of how I took back what was mine from the brother who thought he could bury me in the shadows of our family's legacy. It all began with my father's death. Dad was the heart of Mercer Marine, our small boat repair shop on the edge of Harbor Bay. The town was one of those coastal spots where everyone knows your business before you do. Fishing boats bobbing in the water, the smell of salt and diesel hanging in the air like a permanent fog. Dad built the place from nothing, teaching me how to mend hulls and read the sea's moods when I was just a kid. My brother Lucas. He was the golden boy, always flashing that smile that could charm a storm into calm. But while I was knee-deep in grease, he was out schmoozing clients, playing the heir apparent. When Dad passed, quietly in his sleep after a long battle with his lungs, the will reading felt like a formality. Or so I thought. We gathered in the lawyer's office, a stuffy room with walls lined in leather-bound books that no one ever read. Mom sat there, her hands folded in her lap, eyes distant like she was already halfway out to sea. Lucas lounged by the window, that half-smile on his face, like he knew something we didn't. And me. I was just trying to hold it together, my fingers digging into the arms of the chair. The lawyer cleared his throat and started reading. To my son Lucas Mercer, I leave full ownership of Mercer Marine, including all assets, contracts, and operations. The words hit like a wave crashing over the bow. I blinked, waiting for the rest, for my name to come up. Mom got the house, a life interest so she could stay there until she passed. And me. To my daughter Ava, I leave my personal effects and the sum of $10,000. You're strong, Ava. Forge your own path. Forge my own path. I'd spent my life forging paths for that damn shop. I was the one who balanced the books late at night, who negotiated with suppliers when cash was tight, who climbed into engine bays when no one else would. Lucas. He showed up for the glory, the handshakes, the town parades where he'd wave like a hero. That night, I drove home in a daze, the envelope with my inheritance burning a hole in my passenger seat. 10 grand wouldn't even cover a month's rent in this town, let alone start something new. Grief twisted into anger, but I pushed it down. Maybe Dad had his reasons. Maybe he thought Lucas needed it more, the prodigal son with the expensive tastes and the string of failed ventures. But as days turned to weeks, little things nagged at me. Lucas started making changes at the shop, firing old-timers like Marta, our bookkeeper who'd been there forever, and bringing in his slick friends as consultants. The place felt wrong, like the hull was rotting from the inside. One evening I stopped by the shop unannounced. Lucas was out schmoozing at some yacht club event, so I let myself in with my old key. The office was a mess. Papers everywhere, coffee stains on the desk. I wasn't snooping, not really. I just wanted to feel close to Dad again, to sit in his chair and remember. But as I rifled through a drawer for his old logbook, I found it. A receipt tucked behind a stack of invoices. It was for marine-grade steel, dated 6 months before Dad died. Ordinary enough, except the payment had been rerouted to something called Atlantic Advisory, a company I'd never heard of. Curiosity gnawed at me. I pulled out my phone and searched the name. Nothing came up, just a generic mailbox address in a neighboring state. Weird, but maybe a vendor mix-up. I dug deeper, pulling files from the cabinet. More receipts, more redirects. Small amounts, 500 here, 1,000 there. But over years it added up. Hundreds of thousands, siphoned off like water through a crack. My heart pounded as I pieced it together. Lucas's signature was on every one. He'd been skimming, using shell companies to hide it. And Dad. Had he known? The will suddenly made sense. Not a dismissal of me, but a desperate attempt to protect the shop from Lucas's greed. Maybe Dad had found out too late, his health failing, and thought leaving it to Lucas would force him to clean up his mess. But that didn't explain why I was cut out. I confronted Lucas the next day, cornering him in the office before the crew arrived. What's Atlantic Advisory? I asked, slapping the receipts on the desk. He froze, that smile faltering for a split second. Old business, Ava. Dad set it up for tax stuff. Why are you digging? Because it looks like theft, I said, my voice steady despite the rage bubbling inside. He laughed, but it was forced. Theft. From our own company. You're paranoid. Dad trusted me with the shop for a reason. We argued, voices rising until he slammed his fist on the desk. Stay out of it, Ava. You've got your money. Go forge your path or whatever. That night the threat started. A note slipped under my door. Stop digging. Or else. No signature, but I knew. I installed cameras at my apartment, started carrying pepper spray. But I didn't stop. I called Marta, the bookkeeper he'd fired. She met me at a diner on the outskirts of town. Her face lined with worry. I saw it too, she whispered over coffee. Small at first, but it grew. I told your dad, but he was sick. He said he'd handle it. Why didn't you tell me? She sighed. Lucas threatened my pension. Said I'd lose everything if I talked. We teamed up. Nights blurred into days as we copied files, traced transactions. Priya, my old college friend turned lawyer, joined us. She was sharp, no nonsense. This is fraud, Ava. Embezzlement. We can take him down, but it'll get ugly. Ugly it got. Lucas spread rumors. I was jealous, unstable, trying to sabotage the family name. The town whispered. Ava's always been the bitter one. Old friends avoided me at the grocery store. Then the vandalism. My car tires slashed. The shop sign spray-painted with traitor. I knew it was him or someone he paid. But evidence mounted. We found emails. Lucas instructing nominees to set up more shells. A photo, anonymously mailed. Lucas in a rented office, Atlantic Advisory logo behind him. Someone on the inside was helping us, maybe a guilty conscience. The audit was our first big move. We filed with the county. Ramsey the regulator taking our binder like a sacred text. This could blow up, she warned. Families don't survive this. Lucas fought back hard. He sued for defamation, claimed I forged documents. His lawyers were sharks, circling with motions and delays. Mom, caught in the middle, begged me to stop. He's your brother, Ava. Blood is thicker. Not when it's poisoned, I shot back. The turning point came during depositions. Lucas slipped, admitting under oath to creative accounting for business growth. The judge's eyes narrowed. Then the anonymous tip. A recording from a client dinner. Lucas boasting about redirecting funds to keep the golden goose laying. Elise, a local journalist, got it first. She published and the town exploded. Clients pulled contracts. Suppliers demanded audits. Lucas's charm cracked. His face on the front page, pale and desperate. He offered a settlement. Half the shop if I dropped everything. We're family, Ava. Let's end this. I refused. Family doesn't steal from family. The trial was a circus. Witnesses paraded. Marta testifying to the patterns. Corinne the forensic accountant mapping the siphon. Lucas's defense crumbled under the weight of proof. The jury deliberated for 2 days, then, guilty on multiple counts. Fraud, embezzlement, the works. Sentencing hit him with restitution, community service, and a ban from financial roles. The shop. It went into receivership, but I fought for it. With Priya's help, I bought it back at auction, using my inheritance as seed and loans from supporters. We restructured. Transparent books, worker reps on the board. Revenge. It wasn't the courtroom win. It was watching Lucas slink away. His empire in ruins. I sent him one last note. Forge your own path. Cold like the sea at dawn. But healing took time. Mom and I rebuilt slowly. Coffee talks, shared meals. The town forgave. Business boomed with our new ethics. I started apprenticeships, teaching kids the trade Dad loved. Looking back, over 2,000 words of this tale, I realize revenge isn't sweet, it's necessary. It stitched me back together, stronger seams against the storms. The harbor still calls, and now it's mine.